So you guys know that I talk about net neutrality and municipal broadband a lot on this show. It's a very important topic to my heart. It's something that I'm pursuing in my community. I'm trying to get municipal broadband here in Pasadena, California. That's where I live. And it's been a long climb for a number of reasons. One of the reasons being, like, I only have so much time to dedicate to it. But anyway, a lot of times what you hear when you want to pursue a municipal broadband project, which, by the way, what is municipal broadband real quick? It's basically, it takes the internet out of the hands of these big cable companies who want to screw you over and screw over net neutrality, and it puts it into the hands of cities and municipalities. Net neutrality will be written into the charter, and we will have a free and open internet. And by the way, we'll get the best internet that's possible at a more reasonable price. Cities that already have municipal broadband, they get just that. They get the best internet in the country at a reasonable price. Ask anyone in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee's been ahead of the curve. They'd have municipal broadband for years now, and they get the best internet at a reasonable price. And what's interesting here, other places in the Southeast are catching on. Tennessee, which is not a very, I used to live in Tennessee. I used to live in Nashville. Tennessee on the state level, not a very progressive place at all. But something like internet infrastructure and digital rights, that's not a partisan issue. That has support on the right and on the left. Over 80% of citizens favor net neutrality. Over 80%, and that includes Republicans, Democrats, and everything in between. Further left, further right, you get the idea. So municipal broadband, similar story. Because even if you're somebody on the right who says, "Oh, we don't want the government involved, we don't want the city involved," well, gee, don't you also favor competition? Don't you think it's fair that these cable companies get some competition? Also, and then, of course, if you're more on the left, you might be more in the camp of, hey, let's put this in the hands of our city and let's control our own internet infrastructure. When something goes wrong, the city's going to have to fix it. The city's going to be here. Not some cable company that's all around the country that doesn't really give a shit about customer service. So Tennessee itself is talking about municipal broadband plans across the state and stuff like that. And it's catching on in other parts of the Southeast, because here's something that's going on in Georgia. Decatur INET plans draw Comcast acrimony in Georgia. This is from a little bit ago, but we haven't covered it yet. So at a May 6th commission meeting in Decatur, Georgia, city leaders approved a project budget of $2.3 million to build a municipal INET and award the construction contract to Georgia-based Network Cabling Infrastructures, Inc. The decision came amid demands from cable giant Comcast that the community of about 24,000 immediately begin paying exorbitant fees for infrastructure the city has used under a past local franchise agreement. So here's what essentially goes on, and this isn't just unique to Decatur, Georgia. This is unique all across, or this is common all across the country. Big Cable has anticipated this day. They anticipated the day where cities and municipalities are going to be sick of their bullshit. They're going to be sick of Comcast, one of the most unpopular companies in the world. Not just in the country, in the world. One of the most unpopular companies in the world. You don't hear about that too often. Why? Well, because they own a news outlet. Why does Comcast own a news outlet? It makes no sense. Why does Comcast own MSNBC? Well, because they can, is the answer. Because they can. But they shouldn't. It makes zero sense. None whatsoever. But it's the world we live in. So Comcast and AT&T and all of the cable companies, who, by the way, they formed an organized duopoly in the United States. That's essentially what they did. They made territory agreements, kind of like the mafia. That's what they did. So whenever someone says, oh, there's competition in broadband, no, there isn't. They have an organized duopoly. That's it. That's what they have. So they've anticipated the day when cities are going to want to build their own infrastructure. And what they did was they had a lot of red tape set in place to make sure that doesn't happen. In contracts that they had with cities, they would have agreements on the outset that said, hey, you can never build your own infrastructure, or you can never build here, or you can never do this. Now, the way some municipalities and cities have been getting around this, when those agreements were made, we had net neutrality. Now that we don't have net neutrality, it makes those agreements null and void. Of course, it's more complicated than that, but I'm not a lawyer. we're not lawyers, and I'm not here to give legal advice. You get the idea. But anyway, so that's what's been going on. So Decatur's been facing this too. Let's go back to the article, see what else is going on in Decatur. So last year, after working with a consultant, Decatur decided to replace the aging INET with a new city-owned fiber network and began to search for a contractor to build it. Comcast was one of several companies that responded to a request for qualifications issued by Decatur in October, but it did not meet the requirements established by the city. Less than 1 month after Decatur notified Comcast that it was not selected, the company told former city manager Peggy Maurice that it planned to retire the INET right away unless the city paid for its use. A few months later, Comcast reiterated its intention to current city manager Arnold, explaining that the company had acquired a state franchise to replace the local franchise agreement that ended in 2009. According to Arnold, Comcast decided to charge the city approximately $370,000 annually for use of the current INET until the new one is built. So basically they're saying, oh, you want to build your own thing? You want to replace some stuff? Well, guess what? You're going to have to pay top dollar for this until you do that. And if you don't do that, I guess you don't get internet. What are you going to do? How are you going to fight back? That's what Comcast is doing. Does this encourage competition? First, they wanted to stop the building from happening. Then they wanted to be in charge of building the infrastructure. Then, because they still didn't get what they want, they wanted to price gouge the existing infrastructure. That's what Comcast does. Man, that sounds like a company that really puts customers first. And I drink water from a mason jar. Water from a mason jar. I drink it. All right, so here's a couple quotes here. The heavy-handed approach taken by Comcast grossly violates the way the city operates. Instead of working towards a creative solution to satisfy both parties, Comcast is bullying the city into making a hasty, uninformed decision. For its part, Comcast pointed out that it attempted to renegotiate with the city after the original local franchise agreement expired, and that the cost Arnold quoted was not their lowest offer. Contrary to your characterization of the company as bullying the city, this is Comcast's response. Comcast has allowed the city to enjoy free use of the INET for 10 years longer than was required, during which time you have been fully aware of Comcast's desire to convert the network to a commercial arrangement. However, if the arrangement between the city and Comcast, in which the city used the infrastructure for no additional fees, has continued for almost 10 years, city leaders in Decatur don't appear to have been made fully aware of Comcast's desire. All right, so here is more in the article from the Monopolist Playbook. Comcast's decision to demand payment right after being denied the construction contract raises questions, especially since Comcast was content to allow Decatur access to the network without demanding payment for nearly a decade. Often companies who are party to expiring franchise agreements try to argue that they have supplied connectivity to municipalities for free, and they put for free in quotes because it wasn't actually free. It was just certain things. They had the infrastructure through such arrangements. In actuality, Comcast and similarly situated cable companies obtained free or reduced cost access to municipalities' rights-of-way, as well as the ability to reach thousands or tens of thousands of customers with little to no competition, and to make municipalities dependent on them for connectivity. In the case of Decatur, subscribers contributed to the construction costs, possibly paying for the construction of infrastructure which Comcast claims it owns. So they just rearranged the cost of infrastructure. They still put it on the consumers. Then they're saying, we own this, and now we're going to charge you again. You see what's happening here. Customers still paid for their internet. Comcast was still making a bunch of money. They had this infrastructure that they said, okay, the city, you can use this. We're giving this to you for quote unquote free. And now they're saying, oh, you don't want us to build this new stuff that you're trying to do. Well, we own this stuff, and we're going to start charging you outrageous prices for it until you build your new stuff, which we're going to try to stop that too. This is Comcast behaving like a mob. That's what this is. This is Comcast behaving like the mafia. That's exactly what they're doing. All right, so let's see where they're at here currently. Let's bring it to. All right, so here's what's going on. The planned fiber network will connect 14 city buildings and 10 school locations. So this isn't even like an extensive customer fiber network. This is just replacing what the city and municipality was using, and even that, Comcast is trying to stop. The local school system will contribute about $650,000 towards the cost of building the network. A redundant ring design and underground deployment will make the new INET more reliable than the current network. The increased reliability and capacity should improve the city's public Wi-Fi and allow for use of smart city applications. Decatur plans to start construction of the new network in June and hopes to have it completed within a year. Well, I wish them luck. And wow, look at this. Comcast, they are the mob. Comcast is literally the mafia. That is what they do. Comcast is the mob. I mean, look at how ridiculous that is. They have, there's no doubt that Comcast didn't get what was theirs in regards to funding this infrastructure. It's not like Comcast was in the business of charity here at any point. So we know what Comcast was actually doing. We know what they actually did. We know that they recouped and made tons of money like they always do. Now, here we have them wanting to build infrastructure, not even just benefiting the entire community, but just for the infrastructure for the city and municipality. And Comcast is still trying to stop it, and now they're trying to charge again, and they're trying to price gouge even more. Comcast. It's why they're one of the most unpopular companies in the world.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your